It's three guys who combined to play 15 seasons in the National Football League trenches. Well, two guys. And Mackey, who didn't do shit. This is the O-Line Committee.
Part one wasn't enough to contain all of our hot takes about day one of free agency. So we have a part two here for you guys. So the best thing you can do, by the way, before we dive into part two to help us grow this show, we're almost to 20,000. So we're at 18,500-ish YouTube subscribers. Would love to get to 20,000 here in free agency season on the O-Line Committee YouTube channel. Click that like button and the subscribe button and tell some of your football-loving friends about us. And then give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple and Spotify. That's another good way to help us grow this thing. We're like 10 months into this O-Line Committee venture, so thank you guys for being part of it.
That's crazy.
It was like May, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
We did our first episode.
Right around summertime.
Wow, no, it's almost been a year.
Yeah,
Time flies.
10 months, man.
I love it.
So, gentlemen, Russell Wilson has a new home in Pittsburgh.
Do we know what that deal looks like yet?
Yeah, 1.2, I thought.
1.2, isn't it?
He did it. Yep.
I don't know if I saw an actual
I did.
number.
I saw 1.2, and then the Broncos are paying him 38.9. So he's making 40.
It's officially 1.2.
Yep.
It's
I think that's great, too. Can I just say,
Broncos contract.
I love Russ so much more now because he did that. Like, that is such an FU to the Broncos, and you know exactly what I'm talking about when he's like, nope, I'm going to take just the minimum because you're going to pay me every little dime of this. And I'm telling you, if the Steelers and the Broncos have to play, there's going to be some real animosity because all Russ has got to do is look at that sideline like, it's right, you're still paying me.
The question is, does Russ start? Like, does Russ start over Kenny Pickett? Like, who was a first-round pick? I don't know the answer to that question. What are you moving around for? You think Russ starts? Do you think?
Are you just saying this because he's making minimum?
Dude, I get Boone's reaction, but it is a legitimate question.
It's a legitimate question, dude. What did Russell Wilson do last year that makes you think that he walks into Pittsburgh and is the guy?
I'm not saying he's going to walk in. I'm just saying he'll eventually be the starter there. Like,
you think so?
Russ, yes. Come on.
I mean,
you have to try it to start with, right? And see, like, can you recapture some of the Russ magic?
Nobody knows what anyone said. So until somebody comes out and is like, yeah, they said we're battling, I'm going to go in assuming, hey, you went out and made kind of a splash. I'm assuming this is our guy. This is going to be who we're rolling with. You don't bring in a guy making $40 million from another team to be like, you're going to be our back.
But it doesn't matter. Like, in your mind, he's a 1.2 cap hit.
I just don't think he does. I don't think he signs that deal unless they're like, yeah, you're our guy. I just don't think he is like, I'm going to battle. I'll go somewhere else. Easily. I'll walk somewhere else right now. There's a lot of teams that could have taken him at 1.2, here being one of them. Like, hey, we're probably going to lose this guy. What do you think about coming here and playing with us?
I mean, he's kind of in a situation where his options were very limited, right? I guess here's the only thing where I side with he's going to start the season. They probably had to give him that reassurance because at 1.2 million, he could have gone and he knew that the Vikings, Falcons, like there were some other teams out there. I mean, hell, the Giants.
Dude,
could the Giants have said, "Oh, we're going to move out Daniel Jones anyway"?
There's a lot of teams that could have been like 1.2. Sign us up. We can get out of cap hell. Here we go.
Yeah. So they must have given him some assurance that, hey, man, like if you don't alienate the entire locker room and age 5 more years overnight, then we're going to give you a shot in week 1. But it could also be a Donovan McNabb Viking situation from 10 years ago or Commander situation where he is cooked and you move on after like 5 or 6 weeks, right?
Fresh start, new blood. Here we go. Let's do it. Najee Harris in the backfield. Freiermuth at tight end. I mean, dude, he loves his tight ends.
George Pickens.
About that. George Pickens. I mean, dude, you could walk in and honestly, I see them drafting an O-lineman early. I would love to see them draft that left tackle out of Washington. Troy Fatnu. Oh,
he's a Steeler.
He's
body.
A stud, buddy. He's a stud.
Do you say a Steeler body?
Yeah, like
what does a Steeler body
mean? Certain linemen where you're like,
looks good in yellow pants.
You look like you should be a Steeler, right?
You and Faneca look
lower body.
Yeah. Throw the mustard on.
Yeah, just a big, thick, like downhill.
Dude, I knew Max Starks. He was thicker than anybody.
Dude, back when they used to have.
Come on.
who was it? Ramon Foster.
Yep.
Like Ramon Foster and
shout out to Ramon. He was the greatest.
Pouncey, Villanueva. Like they're just big humans. Yep. Like the Steelers just forever and always. And
Jerome Bettis.
Like I think Tomlin just like loves.
Kiesel.
Like, I want to look. He's like I want to look at my linemen, and I just want to see big old yellow asses.
Hampton.
Like
remember Hampton?
Big old yellow asses.
You're not kidding, dude. They were always thick-legged dudes. Like I remember walking up to that 3-4, like, God, some James Harrison. Yeah. Remember they had James Harrison back when he was scary, and he like remember he did that GQ with the guns, and everybody was like, oh, we're in trouble now. Roger's gonna lose. I remember when that photo came out. I was sitting in the lunch, and I remember the RPA rep goes, oh shit, Roger's gonna lose it now. Oh God, I was like, what happened? Tell me. I'm very young. He was like, this guy, don't ever do this. Don't ever get pictures with guns. Got it? We're going to play that guy.
Twice.
Dude, we worked out with James, and he was a freak show.
Dude,
he
made himself famous because of his crazy workout videos.
Dude,
yeah.
When we watched him in the gym
with like
800 with the tsunami bar, and he would like come up with like 500 pounds and be like, and we were like, I'm not blocking you. And I remember, hey, true story. We're playing Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, and he literally lines up in the B gap, and I literally looked at him and go, no. Go away. Go away. He's like, what's up, Boone? Go away. Right now.
Because he's
seen
really
that
short.
Tsunami bar. Oh,
really
dude, he's
short.
Like 6 foot.
I mean,
but you're looking at those arms like, go
6
away.
foot with just girth on the arms.
So fast.
Dude,
yeah, that's the Steeler way.
The weight room couldn't contain his workout, so he'd have to like add extra things to make
He'd add like the bands to it. Did I ever tell you the story about the floor press that got way too out of control, way too fast? We were floor pressing, and all of a sudden he walked in from home, just walked in, and was like, "Y'all a bunch of pussies." It was like 4:05 on the bar. Chuck at the time was like, "All right, tough guy, you do it." Walks over cold. Like 10 of them. Chuck's like, oh, yeah? Chuck gets down, starts doing 10 of them, and I'm like, oh, my God, this is going in the wrong direction. This is a simple Tuesday. Simple Tuesday lift, and now James Harrison and Charles Bentley are bench pressing each other to see who's going to get it. It got like to 550, and I was like, okay, we've seen enough. We're good.
Someone's going to get hurt.
More. I was like, Tim Tebow was in the corner. It was, I'm not even kidding, hilarious. Spilled chalk on the floor and didn't clean it up, and everybody got pissed at him. It was like, what are you doing? Dude, it got heated that day quickly. I was like, I'm going home.
Tim Tebow was in the corner just levitating.
T. Suggs was there. Dude, we had some squads in that, dude. It was fun.
Wild, man.
I know.
Steelers. So anyways, Steelers. Russell Wilson going to save the franchise. Great. You know, here's my other question. Mike Tomlin never had a losing season. And last year, right, people smell blood. This is finally the year. They got to go on a run. And they did. They went on a run. Didn't they get to 10 wins last year?
Yeah.
So they crossed it. But, like, Russell Wilson has the pressure of you don't want to be the quarterback that puts that team in, like, a 1-5 hole.
That is a lot of pressure.
And contribute to the first losing season in Mike Tomlin's
I mean, especially
career.
in that division, too. I mean, you've got Burrow coming back off the wrist. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens look like they're going to be back reloaded a little bit.
Browns.
Like the Browns seem to
Jerry
be back
Jeudy.
on track. So it's definitely one of those things where if you stumble out of the gates like the Bengals always do, I don't know if you have the power to pull yourself back up and get to where you need to go. They got to start hot. And if Russell's the dude, then go all in this offseason and give him every resource available to help him succeed and if he's still got some magic left in the tank.
So would you rather have had Russell Wilson for $1.2 million or Justin Fields for a 4th or 5th round pick?
Russell for 1 year. Take him for 1 year, see what happens, roll with it, and then if you don't like it, move on. Versus the Fields thing, though, like anytime you have Fields, you know that if you were to take him, the giant contract is looming over the shadows, right? Like he's going to need to get paid. With Russell, if this doesn't work out, no harm, no foul, 1.2.
No draft pick.
No draft capital gone. Like I lost nothing. 1.2 to these dudes, that's ass wiping money.
I know, but what if he does well? then you have to be like, oh, now we're going to have to pay him. Like, that payday is going to happen. Everybody's so afraid of it, but I'm so ready to run into it. Like, might as well get it going now, right? Like, if these are my choices, I might even go Justin Fields because he's younger. I'm looking at this as a GM. Who's younger? Who has more youth? Who has more upside? All these things. I'd probably go Justin Fields. I'd take him.
I mean, the Fields thing is really interesting because it felt like, and obviously
that's a great question though, Mackie. That's a tough decision.
The Bears are out there trying to generate, hey, at the combine. No, there was that video that came out too. Fields' agent is trying to generate interest, and the video of him celebrating in the kitchen. You ready to go home? It looked like maybe Atlanta was in play, but it feels at this point all just propaganda generated.
100%.
But like
the
fully realized version of Fields is this fierce, athletic, big-armed quarterback. But I can't get over the fact that he's been a starting quarterback for 3 years, and the teams he has captained have 10 wins in 3 years.
Yeah.
And I get that it's the Bears, and it's like
not good.
Just don't know, man. So I don't know. If you're the Steelers, I don't know that either one of those guys, Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, is saving your franchise long term. I think Fields gives, like to Boone's point, Russell Wilson's a 1 or 2 year stopgap. Fields at least has like a % chance of figuring it out and being your long term solution. But then,
but what are you willing to give up for him? Like, what was the asking price?
That's what we need to know.
That's the bigger question. Like, yes, is Fields worth it for the right price? Not for a second rounder.
Well, that's my question.
If anything below a fifth, like a fourth or fifth, like maybe. But they're probably asking for a lot. Like, they spent a lot to draft him.
Right.
They don't want to just let him out of the building for peanuts. But it's got to be the price point, right? Do I want Russell at 1.2 or do I want Justin Fields giving up a potential second and third round pick? It's Russell Wilson all the live long day for me in that regard.
I would agree with that, but I think that with Brian Burns getting a 2 and a 5, I don't know that you're getting a 2 and a 3. Like, Brian Burns is one of the top pass rushers in the NFL.
But he's a quarterback, dude.
I know, but
quarterbacks always demand more.
I know, but that's why I think teams are looking at this like, yeah, no, we're not. We're not going to pay you for that. Because
if you had a 2 and a 5 to give up or a 2 and a 3 to give up, would you rather have Brian Burns or Justin Fields if you needed a quarterback and an edge rusher? I think I'd rather have one of the best at the position.
Burns.
Yeah, I'd rather have probably Burns too.
Yeah, if I'm giving up that, I don't want a question mark. I don't want that to come with an inflection at the end of the voice. Justin Fields, right? Like, no, we got it for Brian Burns, right? Like, that's the, like, we have to get this dude versus we think this is going to work. Like when we got Josh Dobbs from Arizona, right? Like, Josh Dobbs for the Vikings? Like, you can't do that if you're giving up a second rounder.
Dobbs screwed the Vikings,
there
by
could
the
be
way.
no... Dude, yeah, Dobbs mania
could have been drafted higher.
Could have been drafted
way higher. Could have also still had Ezra Cleveland, but we don't.
So. I'm going to take a little bit of credit. I called when all the trade talks before the 49ers game with, like, Danielle Hunter and all that stuff on the other podcast I do for the Vikings with Collier. I was saying, listen, here's what's going to happen. I go, the Vikings are going to beat the Niners. And then everyone's going to hold on to this glimmer of hope, like, we can do this. And then they're not going to trade anyone, and it's not going to work. And then sure as shit, there it goes. And now we could have had a second-round pick for Danielle Hunter, and now he's going to walk. Like, I don't see him coming back in free agency. So, like, I don't know. That one still sticks in my craw a little bit because we could have got something for him.
Well, that's like, man, I love this side street because it's so easy in the moment. So Kwesi, the GM of the Vikings, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, he said publicly once the Vikings they started 1-4, and they clawed their way back. They beat the Niners to get to I think to 3-4. Then they beat the Packers. That was the day that Kirk tore his Achilles.
Yep.
So they get back to 4-4, but Kirk's out for the season 2 days before the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to the locker room and talked to some of the locker room leaders and said, "What do you want me to do at the trade deadline?" Because obviously you could have got. I mean, didn't Montez Sweat get a couple second-round picks?
Yep.
Danielle Hunter was getting a second-round pick, maybe even a late first-round pick.
Chase Young got traded too for I think
third.
Yeah,
Chase Young got traded for a third.
You were getting a day 1 or a day 2 pick, and he pulled the locker room and said, or some leaders in the locker room and said, "Hey, what do you want me to do?" Of course, the players in the locker room are thinking, "Dude, don't trade him. Yeah, let's do it." And if you were to ask the Vikings right now, what would you rather have? I mean, by the way, as of the recording of this, oddly, Danielle Hunter has not signed anywhere. Now, that could change 5 seconds after we turn our mics off, but
we don't know who they're talking to. I'm sure they're talking to somebody, but we agree with. I remember the conversation. Do we let this ride, or do we try and just? I remember when we traded for the past or not. Oh yeah, can trade your whole draft, can it? Everything becomes way. But
if you're a GM, you have to look. That's like the one bit. I think.
Of course, you have to look to the future. You're the guy that looks ahead. Kwesi's done a good job
on Monday, and I think he finally, saying no to the Kirk Cousins contract was the right move. But the biggest screw up in the last 12 months was not having a long-term view of the trade deadline last year. Like, what was going to happen? You knew that your starting quarterback was out for the season.
Yeah.
And so, where are you really going here?
Right.
Yeah.
And he's going to walk, and you might get a third-round comp pick or something.
But that's why, in the moment, you can't ask the players because they're going to be all in, right? Like they know
the
whether
they're never going to turn on their guys.
No,
right? But I like Washington. Washington was like, we're terrible. We have issues. Chase Young, Sweat, been real, been fun. Your value's never been higher. See ya. Right? Like, you got to make those decisions, and, I respected them for making that decision mid-year. It's not an easy thing to do, and I think the problem was they were still trying to convince the fan base, we still have a chance here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Right? There's still a glimmer of hope. Washington at that point was farm sold, we suck, things are in flames, right? Everything's fine. No, it's not fine. Everything's bad. I feel like Minnesota, there's still this idea of, we can still do it. We can
There's
still
go always that way. Feeling. Always that feeling.
There is.
And that's why saying no to Kirk Cousins, and there's going to be some fans that are just going to lose their minds and not really understand what's going on, what's the plan, right? The plan right now is say no to the glass ceiling of Kirk Cousins and explore door number 2 over the next couple months. You're going to draft somebody and build a monster roster over the next 2 years.
Oh,
Top 5 cap space in 2025 too, so you can
can't wait.
You can sign 26-year-old free agents. Speaking of cap space, let's get to the next thing here. The Raiders just signed Christian Wilkins for $27.5 million a year from the Miami Dolphins. Now, he's been one of the top 10 run-stopping interior defensive linemen for 3 or 4 years. And last year, Christian Wilkins, according to your favorite website, Pro Football Focus, doubled his pressures from 32 to 61 year over year. So he became a fierce pass rushing defensive tackle as well. The Raiders also went and signed Gardner Minshew for 2 years.
Yeah.
$15 million guarantee, 2-year, $25 million contract. They could still be in the market to draft a quarterback as well and put him next to Minshew.
Where did they draft? What number? 13?
Man. 13, right? Broncos are 12. I think the Raiders
and
we'd
be remiss. They signed back a fat kid, right? They got Andre James back. 3-year, $24 million. Nice job for the fat kids. That's a win. It's a win for the center position.
Go, buddy.
Fat boy's feasting.
That's right.
The real battle today is watching Jeremiah fight his
Seriously.
allergies.
Dude, it's so bad. And I'm terrified. I'm so scared when I'm going to wake up from surgery and have my arm in this. And I'm just going to be and want to just die every single time, dude. Because I know it's just
Claritin.
I take Allegra. I'm on the all natural. My wife's got these drop things. There's nothing works. It's just this always happens.
And Claritin doesn't just you can't take Claritin and it just kicks in an hour later.
Fix. It's got you got to build up days worth of tolerance here. When the weather heats up in Nebraska and the wind starts blowing, it's just I just hate myself.
Jake can barely see the screen.
Dude,
right
I'm
now.
I woke up this morning. I was like, oh God, what day is it? So yeah, we're fighting. We're grinding over here.
Still grinding.
Still fighting. Man. No excuses,
dude.
So are we in or out on the Raiders now? After bringing in some more, dude, Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins on that.
I'm excited about that. But if you're telling me that Gardner Minshew is going to be the starting quarterback this year, that's scary, dude. Look at that division you're in. This is a whole new world.
Hey,
this is a whole new world.
The Colts won 9 games with Gardner Minshew, mostly as their starting quarterback.
You're playing the Chiefs division. You're playing in now the
AFC
Chargers
West,
division.
AFC South, very different divisions, right?
Very different.
You had Will Levis. You had C.J. Stroud on a rookie deal. You had Trevor Lawrence, who kind of was figuring his life out. The Jacksonville's getting together. Dude, you're not talking about playing against the GOAT, Patrick Mahomes. You're not talking about like brand new world and John Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh, right?
Who they just got Gus Edwards. Don't forget where he came from.
Yep, come from Baltimore.
I saw that.
Right, and you've got Herbert, who's one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. And then you have Denver, right? And Denver is going to just be in purgatory for Russell Wilson for a long time. So, they're looking at like, okay, you come in we're sitting probably at 3. Yeah, 3 in the division here. Like, I don't know if I straight up take a Gardner Minshew versus Mahomes and Herbert twice a year. Maybe. I don't know. It's one of those things like he's still got a lot to prove. I'm happy he got paid.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of a journeyman, been all around the league and going up and down. He's been Philly, and then he was down in Jacksonville, and then he was in Indy. And this league's so much about a what have you done for me lately league. And, he's in Indy. They draft Richardson. He's like, oh, shit. Right, like, I'm here. I'm going to sit all year. What a problem. Then he gets in there, and you made the most out of it, and now you just went and made $25 million. Good for you, man. Right, but I don't think anyone looks at this contract and goes, he's the future, right? I think he's probably a little bit extended bridge to see what he can pull and see if he can get the best out of this roster and then build the roster up around him. And then like we talked about for some of the other teams in a few years, if he's not the move, you didn't hamstring yourself to him for 4 years or anything like that. You can still move on if he's not working out.
I love that we have like classifications of bridge quarterbacks. You just said he's kind of an extended bridge.
An extended bridge.
So Sam Darnold for the Vikings might be a short bridge.
Oh,
Gardner Minshew might be an extended bridge.
Sam Darnold's a long walk off a short pier.
Are you saying Sam Darnold? Wait. You mean a short bridge as in like he's the backup all year, right? He's not starting.
He's going to start. It's going to do the same thing. Every team does this. You draft a quarterback. Any team that's got a veteran like a Sam Darnold or like a Jacoby Brissett.
I was just gonna say,
Jacoby Brissett.
Let's rank the bridge quarterback.
Brian Hoyer.
Brian Hoyer. Bridge quarterbacks.
Josh McCown.
That's a good
Ryan
one.
Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick was a good one.
Dude, because they come in and they're like, no, this guy's our starter. Right, like they never even like acknowledge that the rookie's going to be the guy.
Dude, who was here with us?
Sean
Hill.
Sean Hill.
I mean, we've known some bridge quarterbacks that, by the way, we love them all. They are all the same guy.
I had the all-time bridge quarterback in Buffalo, Derek Anderson. Derek Anderson.
DA was crazy.
Cleveland, awesome. Carolina, right?
Dude, when Josh got hurt in 2018, because they basically brought DA in because the quarterback room was Nathan Peterman and Josh Allen. Right, like just two guys that were young, no clue what was happening. They signed DA just to be like, hey, just keep the boys in line, right? Like teach them how to be an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Josh Allen got hurt against Houston, and then we're playing the Patriots on Monday night, and Peterman gets knocked out cold. And Derek has to go in there, and it's the first Monday Night Football game in like Buffalo history. And like forever because like dudes were dying like 20 years ago because they couldn't handle it. And he goes out there, and I think it was like the second or third one. He's running away and pulls his calf and like comes over the sideline like, we're all right. He's like, calf muscle shredded. It's like, it's done for. He's like, we're like, well, have fun. And like the rest of the game was just him. Like if anyone came near him, just like crumpling, like falling down. God. Dude, but yeah, he was like, after that game, he had like a shoulder injury. Like his chest was broken. He's like, dude, I didn't sign up for this. He's like, I did not sign up to actually play.
Dude, we need a Mount Rushmore of bridge quarterbacks.
For sure, Fitzpatrick is on there.
Current and historical.
For sure.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
McCown's got to be
McCown's on there for sure.
Josh McCown, 100%. Alex Smith was not designed to be a bridge quarterback,
but right? He got paid. Like, you can't be a bridge quarterback if you got broke off.
Here's one. Ready? Like, oh God, I just saw him on the NFL Network. We played together. From Missouri.
Chase Daniel.
Chase Daniels.
He was a backup.
Dude, he's
a backup.
He got paid. They broke it down like he's made something like $200,000 a throw or something like that in the NFL. Like that's
why I don't think he rises to bridge because he was what's the definition of bridge? Where you are brought in as a starting quarterback, but knowing that it's a short bridge, right? And it can't be that it can't be like Alex Smith wound up being a bridge quarterback, but because of injuries and right.
Yeah.
I think Jacoby Brissett could be on here.
He's moving up because he just signed
really
with the Patriots.
Getting close, dude.
1 year,
He's back with the Patriots again.
He's kind of just been bouncing, right? It's like I'll go Patriots, and then I'll go to the Commanders, and then I'll go to the Browns, and then I'll go back to the Patriots. Like he's just got this little triangle of like, who needs a bridge? Like who needs you to come in there?
Another
be
guy
serviceable, understand the offense. Like I can do it for $3 million.
Yeah. I would say Andy Dalton has become a bridge late in his
he's
career.
become a bridge. Yep, he's worked on becoming a bridge. Dude, there's one I'm thinking of. I can't think of his name.
Give me an era. I'm on Pro Football Reference right now. This is wild.
Oh, man, it's a great definition, though. If you get paid, you're not the bridge quarterback.
Yeah, you know
it's
what
not getting a bag on the bridge.
You know what you are.
Right.
And that's okay.
How do bridge quarterbacks
know your role?
They tell
you. When you're around these guys, the bridge quarterbacks, are they insecure? Are they cool?
No.
Like what?
No.
They're the most secure person on the team.
Yes.
Dude, because they're like, listen, they paying me. I'm an insurance policy. Like that's what I am. Like they're paying me Sam Darnold, you're a $10 million a year insurance policy that our first round quarterback doesn't work out.
But he's only 26 still, and he was a top 10 draft pick. Yeah. Does a guy like him still think, nah, screw this rookie? Like I'm not 32. I'm only 26
because he's young. Maybe
ego might still.
I
be
can see that.
Yeah,
right?
but
when it hits you in the face, don't be surprised. Like when they're like, "Hey, buddy, you didn't make it." Even when you do play better than that rookie, and they're like, "Sorry, this is the rookie." Like we told you, you can't turn around and get mad. I do feel like there are some quarterbacks that get mad when they're like, "You mean I'm not the starter?" And they're like, well, "We told you. No matter how this plays out, you're not going to be the guy."
Do you see that number on your paycheck?
Not going to happen.
There's not like a lot of zeros after it. There's only a few zeros.
It starts with a 1. You're not even close to the realm that you need to be in. It needs to start with a 3.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro. Isn't that crazy to think like $10 million and we're like, yeah, dude. It's funny that you just said, are they insecure? This guy's making $10 million and he knows all he has to do is go like this. Did you say Trey right? Trey right or Trips right? Oh, okay, cool. Like they literally don't care about anything. Yeah. Talk to them and they're like, whatever, dude. It was just with the wife and kids. We got off the boat. Coach said we're gonna play a game today. Let's do it. Like, what?
I would just think that like there's got to be some ego involved. If you're 34 years old and you're Ryan Fitzpatrick, you know. And by the way, you were a 7th round draft pick out of Harvard. Like you probably weren't supposed to be in the NFL when you're 34 years old. But if you played at USC and you were the man at USC and you were a top 10 draft pick and you're 26 years old, there might be some feelings. There might be some.
Who's the USC quarterback that was
Leinart?
No.
Sanchez?
Barkley. He might
Barkley's
be a bridge.
Never been a bridge.
I don't know, dude.
He's always been a number 3. Like Barkley's always been a 3.
Yeah, has he ever been assigned as the starting quarterback going into a training camp with a younger guy ready to take his job? Because that's a bridge quarterback.
Nick Foles.
Now, Matt Castle. You want to talk USC quarterbacks? Matt Castle, Nick Foles.
Nick Foles, Big Dick Nick.
He's you know what? He's just got to go on here because Kelsey just gave him the greatest
Kelsey
to
told the entire world that he has a massive dong.
Yeah, seriously. I love that. I love that Kelsey was like and I'll miss Nick and his big dick. I was like, wait, what?
Literally and figuratively has a massive schlong.
You know what? We're putting him on the Mount Rushmore of bridge quarterbacks. You are on here officially.
For sure. He has a statue outside that stadium, too.
Yeah, they love him.
Wild, man.
They do.
They love it.
I love that.
Freaking statue, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Jacoby Brissett, Fitzpatrick, McCown.
Jimmy G and Ryan Tannehill are heading into this category.
They're on their way. They're on their way.
But they're not on here yet. No, and I'm
not
putting
on their
Nick
way
on
yet.
there.
They're not, but they're definitely.
Baker Mayfield was headed there, and then
he was,
kind of,
but then he got paid.
played himself back out of it, right?
He sure did.
Dude, I love it.
But they didn't draft a quarterback. That was the thing. Is like if they would have drafted a quarterback, he'd have been a bridge. But he was battling with Kyle Trask.
Yeah,
like who is
and it
trash.
And it was like kind of 50-50.
Dude, I can remember. Do you remember the videos coming out of like OTAs where it's like Baker's in midseason form and it's just him like overthrowing a receiver 30 yards? Like over
Receiver's
the
like,
middle.
oh God, here we go. I remember watching those laughing hysterically.
Dude, I remember watching those like, dude, how did I remember thinking to myself, how did the Buccaneers find themselves in this situation? Right?
From
like
Tom Brady to
they went
these
from
two
Tom
guys.
Brady and they're like, we have Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield. Like, this is where we are. And hey, hats off Baker Mayfield.
I was going to say, joke's on us, right?
$100 million man. Good for you. Good for
what you got to get, buddy.
Yeah, I will say too. I feel like about 2 years ago, I was completely out on Baker Mayfield. You want to talk about ego?
Oh, I think everybody was.
So,
yeah.
And now that he's bounced around to about 5 different spots and feels like he's at least mellowed a little. Like, okay, dude.
I think Stafford mentored him a lot. I think him going to LA under McVay and Stafford for that year.
Yeah,
I think that helped him a lot because you go to LA, you know you're not the guy, right? You're not walking in there to fight. You're not even trying to fight with Stafford.
Yeah,
right. Like it's not even hey, come in here and push our starter. It's like you come in here, you sit, you listen, like learn, chart, have the third down blitz cut up ready. Right, like you know what you're doing. And I think that can do wonders for a guy like that was in Baker's career that has always been thrusted into you have to be the guy. You're the guy. We draft you 1 overall. You're the guy. You're the guy. You're the guy. When you're like, I'm struggling. I'm not the guy right now. Like to be able to go sit under McVay, sit under Stafford, learn what it's like to be in a true professional organization and see how things are going and then move on and then have the success that he did down in Tampa. I think that was a really good pivot point in his career for him.
I agree.
Pivot point.
Pivot point.
It's a great underutilized phrase, I feel like. Hey, before we get to, I got some dumb football questions for you guys, but anything else just from like, oh yeah, always. Anything else from day one of free agency?
Not quite day one, but Chris Jones.
I was just going to say that. How do you find that money? Dude.
You know how? You say, Mahomes, listen, you won a Super Bowl with 0 weapons, so do it again. Right? Like, sorry, pal. Listen, we're signing back Chris Jones, which means we're going to have to draft a receiver, 50-50 ball it. You know, we're going to hope maybe we'll go sign the really fast kid. We'll draft the fast kid from Texas and just throw it really far to him, see if you can catch it. Make him the new Tyreek Hill. But they're not going to get any more weapons on that offense for him and free agency.
Well, and and maybe they've done this by the time we're done recording again because this stuff is moving really fast. But like, it's possible they say goodbye to Snead, who they franchise tagged. Right?
They're going to trade him.
So he might get traded.
They have to trade him.
And I saw somebody. I wish I could credit them properly. Maybe one of you guys sent me this tweet via text, but somebody said when you have to make a decision between Chris Jones and Snead, Chris Jones essentially eliminates all wide receivers if he does his job right. Snead eliminates 1 wide receiver if he does his job right.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Jones had 4 game differencing pressures in the playoffs. That won them games.
Yep.
Right? You could make the argument if Chris Jones plays in the first game, do they lose to the Lions? Right? Like he is that much of a difference maker. And I didn't think that Kansas City had $100 million laying around to pay this man, but they did. They found it. They sure as shit found it. So I mean, I'd love to look at the bones of that contract and see what it looks like. But I mean, 95 fully guaranteed. Go get you some. Go get you some. Dude. That's what a multiple Super Bowl champion gets to demand from the table.
Yeah, I feel like we broke down enough Chris Jones film toward the end of the year too, where God,
it's dominant. It's so dominant.
Blowing up
at all the
blowing
positions.
Up some of the best offenses in the NFL and rendering them useless.
So
dude,
dominant.
Nose tackle, 3 technique, defensive end. He does everything, and that's why he's worth every penny. But I think another one too is Josh Jacobs to the Packers. That was
how happy Packers fans were of like, oh, Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, we're gonna have this massive 1-2 punch, just like
Aaron
the
Jones
Lions, and then wah, right? Like just so sad, just from the elation of like we're gonna do just like the Lions to actually we're letting that guy walk. That one was weird to me.
Interesting,
that's an interesting signing to me. I don't know if I love that signing.
Vikings go get Aaron Jones. Vikings go get Aaron Jones.
Big running back to take pressure off.
The running back market is fascinating. So no running backs got franchised. A bunch of dudes like Pollard to the Titans, right, for $8 million a year.
That'd be interesting.
Derek's still out there.
Derrick Henry is still out there as of the recording of this. So Saquon kind of set the top of the market. But really, it's I say only what $12 million a year. I want to say it's a 3-year, $37 million deal
because it's
12,
3 over
13.
38.9, so it's like 13.
So that's kind of your running back range right now. But there's so many household names, like dudes that have been top of the line. Jay's fighting his microphone stand
fighting
and
everything
allergies
today, dude. Jesus,
today, by the way.
All right.
Swift went to Chicago. That'll be interesting as well.
Yeah,
I think it's
he's
kinda
only
funny.
25 years old. Yeah,
He's young, dude.
Crazy.
He is quick too. My God, you can do a lot with a guy like that.
They let Montgomery walk for $6 a year, and then they just signed him back for like $6 a year. Like, you could have had Montgomery still there, but
I'd rather have Montgomery too, I guess.
I think I'd rather have Montgomery than Swift, personally. That's just, they're kind of similar in the front, but I think Montgomery's a better back overall. Yeah. But I think that's interesting that you.
And Eckler is still sitting out there.
No, he's not.
He signed with I just saw it. With the Commanders?
No. Where'd he go?
Let's see here. Who can Google it the fastest? Commanders.
Yeah.
The Commanders, who had the first or second most cap space in the league going into free agency.
The opposite side of the country.
Making $4.8 a year.
He kind of got hosed a little bit, but poor guy.
They
never really ran the ball.
Dude,
they didn't run the
saw
ball
what he
off of
signed. Well, you also saw what Harbaugh signed. Gus Edwards.
He wants
Gus
that ball
Edwards
down the
versus
A gap.
Austin Eckler, very different play style.
G-Row brought Gus in for sure.
Yeah, they were
like, I want this guy here.
Yes, like, I want a horse that runs that way.
Only that way. Yeah. He does not like the East-West thing. He likes the North-South thing. I want it to go through the A-gap, and I want it to be punishing.
I'll be curious if Corum's still sitting around in 3 or 4, if that's a Charger move. I
could easily see it, dude. They love committees of massive backs. Like, not just talking about, like, anybody. Like, everybody has a specific role. This is our A-gap guy. This is our C-gap guy. This is our third down guy. Like, everybody has a different role to play. They also signed – who did they sign? The tight end. Hold on, let me pull it up right here.
Who's the Chargers?
AFC West. Will Dissly, another Harbaugh move. Getting a tight end and a running back, you know exactly what they're going to be doing with that offense. It's going to run through the A-gap, and the play action is going to be super fun. It's going to be exciting, man. That's another reason why I'm worried about
That's the team.
Raiders.
I think maybe next week or the week after we can do now that free agent, the draft still has to play out, but what teams are we
I can't wait
looking to make a jump in 2024? Chargers, Commanders,
be a lot of teams that can make some moves in the draft that could really solidify themselves this year.
Mm-hmm. Boys, let's do some dumb football questions here before we wrap part 2 of this marathon day 1 free agency recap here. You guys can always submit, audience, your dumb football questions via the YouTube comment section, and we get to as many as we can. Like I said, once like the free agency stuff clears out, we'll have a lot more time for more dumb football questions. Let's start with this one for Jeremiah here. Ooh. This is from Bo Fleury, 4810. I think we answered one of his questions a week or two ago, so here's another one. Got another one for you, Jay. Being from Colorado originally, what led you to go to Nebraska for college?
Ooh.
Yeah, so my whole family, and I mean my cousins, my uncles, all went to CU. I mean, all of them. And so I was down to Arizona State, Nebraska, and Oregon. Those were kind of my final 3 that I went there. And when I came out to Nebraska as a junior, I sat in Bo Pelini's office, and it was like an hour and a half as an unofficial visit, and just fell in love with the dude. Like, I loved Pelini. He was one of the main reasons I came here. Also, I want to be closer to home than Oregon. That's a trek for mom and dad to come out and see you, or to go home on a weekend or anything like that. Like, that's a long ways away. But it also came down to the fact that I wanted to stick it to Dan Hawkins. So Dan Hawkins, my junior year in high school, I tore my ACL. And at that point, I had like 9 or 10 scholarship offers. And he was the only school that called me and was like, hey, we're going to have to revoke that offer until you show us that you can play still. And versus on the flip side, Pelini called me and was like, hey, even if you never play football again, we'd honor that scholarship for you to come get your education.
That's cool.
And that meant a ton to me.
Yeah.
And so the only way that CU was going to give me back my scholarship was if I went and spent the $500 to come to their summer camp. And I was like, dude, I live 45 minutes away. Come to a practice. Come to a game. Come to anything. Right. And so they never offered me. They never offered me back to come play for the CU Buffaloes. So at my signing day, right, I'm in all red, and the news is they're doing their thing. And they're like, why Nebraska? And I kind of told an abbreviated version of the story. It's like, and I just really want to go somewhere I can beat them every single year. And lucky enough, we did. We beat them twice because as soon as I said that, I was like, shit, I hope we beat them. Right? Like, I can't like talk shit like that.
Can't be that guy.
Lucky enough, we beat them both. But I love Nebraska. Love it here. Met my wife here. Like, we absolutely love Nebraska.
Dude, Bo Pelini. Let's talk about Bo Pelini for a second.
Psycho, dude.
What? Because all we see as fans are just like these videos of him just screaming at players, red face, the faux Bo Pelini Twitter account. That's one of the greatest of all time.
Yep.
What was it like playing for? Did you ever have him just light into your ass?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like you just knew you stayed away from him on game day, like lunatic on game day. But like other than that, door was always open. You could come talk to him about anything. And he always said, and I always appreciate it. He goes, boys, I will always have your back unless you back me into a corner, right? And that was always his thing. Is like unless you put me in a position where I cannot defend you, right? Like, and you do something drastically stupid, I will fight with you and I will have your back always. And he never threw us under the bus to the media. He never he was a lunatic and he threw chairs through whiteboards and he did crazy things. But like I would run through a wall for that dude. And everyone that played for him says the same thing. Very few people didn't like Bo unless you were a fuck up. And if you were, then you hated him because he was making you doing spatula rolls and pencil rolls. And I mean, his brother was crazier. Carl was a nut job. Like Carl told me one time that he woke up. I stepped on his foot during practice one time. And he told me that the next day, he goes, Sirles, I had fantasies last night of shooting you in the chest with a shotgun every time. Dude? Every time my ankle throbbed. And I was like, hi, Carl. Good to see you, bud. Like, yeah. Or like he told me if I held one of his D linemen one more time, he was going to cut off all my fingers with a dull spoon. Like, yeah, just Carl was
totally
crazy.
normal thing to say to someone.
Totally normal, right? Totally hinged thing to say to someone. Yeah,
you
Carl
act like that's not said a lot of football, though.
Yeah.
Things like that are constantly echoed.
Carl was the crazy one.
These are Ohio boys, by the way.
You're welcome.
We just sat with
Ohio boys.
We just sat with Carmen Basillo at the combine, and he coached for Pelini too, and he was with him. He's like, "Oh, those Pelini boys are something, right?" Like the stories they chased their 8th grade daughter's referees into like the locker room because they were going to beat his ass because they were saying it was the worst ref game they'd ever seen. Like all three brothers, like they had to like escort him out police because Bo and Carl and Vince were going to murder him.
So is Bo is, I looked this up. He's only 56 years old now. So he went to Youngstown State for like a few years.
Yeah.
Is he just so toxic at this point? He's 56. He has not coached in 4 years anywhere. Yeah. There's nothing on his resume.
The existence of him, the NIL, and the transfer portal will never happen.
I don't think it could happen.
Like
the stories I've heard, people would be like, "I'm out of here, peace."
Yeah, they'd be gone so quick. And
Can't be like that anymore, dude.
Get the fuck out of here, anyways. We didn't want you anyways, right? Well. Like that's like that's just how Bo would be. Like the existence of that would not go well.
I feel like I would love this guy.
You would have loved him.
I feel like him and I would have been drinking beers like, let's kill everybody together.
Nah, he would have broke you like a wild horse.
They say that, but they all love me, dude.
They would have, you would have been, dude, you're going to, what's that, Ricky Bobby? They're going to break me like wild horses.
Dude, that's what Singletary told me.
And he did.
He different. That guy was a gold jacket wearing some bitch. He's tough.
XC Runner 1930 chimes in, says, "Love the show. It's my favorite show to listen to." Thank you. It's a lot of shows out there you can choose from. He says, "What is the most common fine given in the O-line room?"
Oh, that's easy. Sensitive.
What was your favorite fine to give?
Sensitive. Everybody gets sensitive because you could just come in and maybe your wife said something. And then all of a sudden, like, my thing was once you hit me with sensitive, I started talking louder and faster, and guys were instantly like, ultra, and I was like, I'm just going to shut up. And the minute I would shut up, they'd be like, just wait. He's going to say something soon. And I would just explode. They'd be like, like that. And this one you can walk into, bus thrower. If you throw someone under the bus, it could be a total accident. Like, hey, I didn't get the B call. And all of a sudden, everyone's like, Bus thrower. Like all you just told them that your friend, instead of being like, I should have known this was a B. Like, right? Yeah. You walk into those ones a lot and you don't mean to. And then the room gets really mad. And then all of a sudden sensitive fines start happening. Dude, literally $100 fine. A guy falling on the ground, right? OTG on the ground. could turn into like a $10,000 session because everybody's just back and forth. And then all of a sudden the coach is involved and he's getting fined. Once Tony got fined for sensitive, it was on.
Yeah.
Don't use guys thinking I'm getting ding, ultra. He just stopped the meeting, put his head down. Everybody be like, ding, ultra. Like he just, you just keep going and going, dude. It's fun.
It's so fun. We did Stockholm syndrome. So love thy captor. So like anytime you'd suck up to the O-line coach,
dude,
you just dig him with a Stockholm syndrome, and you'd be like, oh, right, because it was just like, oh, okay, yeah, like, yeah, coach, you're right. Or like if you asked, we had an Eddie Haskell.
That's another one.
If you asked a question, you already knew the
answer to. Like, so, coach, if the mic's standing over there, we're gonna want to mic him and go to him, right? Be like, of course, stupid, ding. Eddie Haskell, right?
Tony
like that was always a good one too.
Who brings the bell into the O-line room? Is the bell?
I had the bell.
Do you have an actual bell in the O-line room?
Jay has it. I used to ding people, and then Jay would just. It's funny because as soon as he dinged, you see him flip his book over.
I had
and it was the backside of his notebook.
Yeah, I had my notebook with like, God,
seriously, Sirles.
driving me nuts.
Allergies.
He's got allergies. His mic stand.
Shoulder surgery. No, so yeah, Boone had the bell, and then I just had a special binder that just sat there in my spot in the old line room, and I just flip it open to the date and write down like what was it, and someone would say it, and then you write it down and go from there.
Dude.
And then close it and you put it back. And if you got caught screwing with the ledger,
if
someone tried to go in the ledger, that's a big fine. Like,
big fine.
Don't mess with the ledger. I'm
another
allowed
one.
to hold the ledger.
And this is going to sound weird, but you got to remember, we are O-linemen. We do not want any recognition. If you got a head coach call out, whether it was good or bad, that was like $1,000 fine. If you got a game ball that was another fine.
$500.
Just like literally, there was fines that like if Zim said your name, it was like a ding. And so you'd constantly be like, please don't say my name. Please don't say my name. And he'd be like, hey, I just want to give a shout out to all my guys on the O-line. And instantly all 5 guys would get fined.
Zim figured it out. Like towards the end of the year, he'd be like, "Oh, this is a fine." He'd be like, "Damn it!" And so, like, if you got a game ball, right? Like, you would get, game ball's going to Alex Boone this week, and that was a $750 sentence.
I was so
right because you got a head coach call out at $250 and a $500 game ball. Like, not good, not what you want. And then towards the end of practice, like he'd be like finishing it, and like he'd be like, "All right, here we go, let's break it down," and you'd start like sinking in the back because you didn't want him to call your name, and he'd be like, and then he'd start figuring it out, so he just randomly starts saying guys' names. Like, damn it!
Seriously, that was the worst.
I got one more for you guys here because Jay's got to drive himself to the hospital.
I got time. I just got a text from my surgeon. It's like, don't come in until 9, so we got time.
Oh, you're good now. I do have to catch a flight in like
and I do
2
have to take
hours.
kids to school.
We'll do one more. We'll do one more. Dump boys.
Oh yeah.
This is from Rory Duffy here on YouTube, and we've talked about you guys. You guys have told Sam Bradford stories. You both played for the 2016 Vikings when Bradford came in, and when he was healthy, he was slinging it.
Oh yeah.
And the first game of the 2017 season where he threw for like 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, he led the league in completion percentage those years. So the question is, if Sam Bradford had stayed healthy, and he was 29 years old when the Vikings traded for him, if he had stayed healthy from 2017 through 2021, what does that look like for the Vikings?
You don't want to know.
How well would they have
He
performed?
was Matt Stafford before Matt Stafford.
Monster.
And I'm not even kidding you. He was a monster. And I played him in the Niners when they drafted him at the St. Louis. So we were there twice a year seeing him. This dude was a specimen. People forget how big he was.
Yes.
He chased down Roman Harper for 80 yards and destroyed. You
remember we pulled him up?
We were making fun of him. We were like, Sam,
up.
when did you turn into like a big pussy? And he was like, what are you talking about? I was never a pussy. He's like, pull this clip up. Not even kidding you. We found it in the Exos. It was grainy film. He goes, go to play 37. Watch this. Throws a pick on like the 2-yard line. Dude's running down the sideline, and you see Sam come out of nowhere and just body shot the shit out of him. He's like, I was a player, boys. And we were like, oh, my God. Dude, I heard stories that he was, like, cleaning 365 pounds in his prime. Like, they were like, Sam was a dude. He just got hit with so many injuries. that his body just couldn't recover from it. I would have paid half of my salary to see Sam healthy for 4 years. I can't tell you that if it would have been insane. And you want to talk about a guy that was the calmest person? Like, I look at Matt Stafford as one of the ideal people for calm. Like, the dude's never really frazzled. He's always kind of chill, even in the media. This guy, you had to, like, check his pulse. You were like, hey, are you alive? He'd be like, yeah, I'm fine. What's up? We're down a lot. Just making sure you're okay. He'd be like, yeah, we're good. We got to stop fucking letting these guys through the A-gaps. We got to stop doing this. You'd be like, okay, he's alive. Yeah. He'd be like, yeah, we got to hit this out route better. I got it. Post. There. We'll do this. Calm down. You'd be like, dude, we really got to get going. They'd be like, yeah, I know.
He was so accurate.
So chill.
Like, and the way he'd put the ball anywhere he wanted it. I mean, anywhere he wanted it was so impressive. So impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, he was, dude. He
moved very slow too. By the way, it kind of at times it drove me nuts because he'd walk really slow, and you could tell he was thinking a lot. And you'd be like, "Sam, I need an answer," and he'd be like, "I'm thinking." You'd be like, God.
He got stuck on that horrible St. Louis team, and the franchise was crumbling.
Yeah.
They were about to move to LA.
They did.
He winds up in Philadelphia. It was I think it was the year that Chip Kelly got fired, but he performs pretty well in Philadelphia. Vikings trade a first-round pick out of desperation because Bridgewater gets hurt. And he was 29 years old with a good Vikings infrastructure, weapons, right? Because you guys had Stephon Diggs at the time, right?
It was
and
Diggs,
Thielen,
Rudy,
Rudy.
Jay
Wright,
man.
We still had AP at that point.
Yep, we had Jet.
Yeah,
we had Matt Asiata.
We had dudes.
We had dudes everywhere.
Because that was right after the year we had just made it to where we should have went to Arizona, but Blair Walsh wide left. Like, we had the key players were there, which is why Zimmer. I remember Zimmer walking into the. I can remember him walking in and going, "We just traded for Bradford. I'm here to win Super Bowls." Right? Like, that's literally his rationale when he walked into the O-line room and told us that was, "I traded Sam Bradford because we're here to win a Super Bowl. We're not here to not." And it was like, "Okay,
here
we go."
Dude, I remember when he walked in, I was sitting in the cold tub. And I was on my phone, and he literally was walking towards me with Spielman.
Wow.
And I remember he came up to me, and he was like, "Hey, big fella, how you doing?" I was like, "Oh, my God, Sam Bradford." And he goes, "Hey." He goes, "I just want to know what kind of dip you do." I go, "Oh, my God." I start crying. I'm a Copenhagen log cut kind of guy. He's like, "I'll have a log for you tomorrow." I was like, this guy knows what he's doing.
Sam was the best.
Dude. He could, oh my, I was like, why are my clothes off? I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
I think
he just
disappeared
took your breath
off
away.
the grid. If he's not off the grid, we got to get him on. He'd be a great addition to the pod. But he disappears.
You know what? Like, I'm gonna text him right now.
You got him on the old Purple Daily Radio.
Yeah, I got him on. I brought him on Purple Daily, dude. And he's like in Oklahoma. He did exactly what he said he was gonna do. And we were like, Sam, what is retirement? He goes, "Oh, you ain't ever gonna hear from me again." And I was like, everybody says that. Yeah. Everybody says that. And the minute he disappeared, like I'd text him like once a year to be like, "Hey, are you okay?" And he'd be like, "Miss you too, bud." I'm like, my God, he's still alive.
I texted him when I was in Oklahoma hunting, and like I drove by where I was like, "I think you live somewhere around here," and he goes, "Yep." I was like, "Okay, good talk. Talk to you later, Sam."
That's how he is. Very quiet.
We need a list of your favorite quarterbacks that we need to get on the podcast. Sam Bradford, number 1, 100%.
100%.
We'll work on that list, man.
Derek Anderson would be a good one too.
Derek Anderson.
Derek Anderson.
Cam Newton. Can we get Cam Newton?
I don't know if we can get Cam. Cam's up there.
He's busy beating the hell out of people
dude,
at.
I love that video when someone's like, "I'm gonna jump Cam Newton," and be like, "You just jumped a superhuman." Like he was just fiending off like 8 dudes just one at a time, just pop, pop, pop.
Superman cape coming out of his jacket. Oh man! All right. Jay's got to get to some surgery here.
I got to roll.
Jay's got to get some allergy meds.
Got him.
We said
Bradford.
Bradford.
Sent.
I said, "Smoke Jumper, you still alive?" We're talking about you on the pod. Sirles and I miss the fuck out of you. Call me. You know how those text messages come across, Jay.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
I know.
So Sam Bradford will be on this podcast next week.
I'm sure we'll have emergency. Free agency's not done yet.
No, not by any means.